The Prime Minister chose today, and I don't know if it was a coincidence at all, to announce that Australia is now going to come to the rescue, is going to give Ukraine just a little bit more help to beat Russia.
This additional support will make a real difference, helping the Ukrainian people who continue to show great courage in the face of Russia's illegal, unprovoked and immoral war.
Fine, but all that this amounts to is just $110 million for some humanitarian aid and 70 trucks, some of them armoured, but not the light armoured Hawkeyes that the Ukrainians have been asking for months, nor a single one of our tanks that have never fired a shot in anger here, never will. They're just, why have we got them? Send them to Ukraine where they can do some good. Joining me is the country's best foreign affairs writer, Greg Sheridan of the Australian newspaper. Greg, $110 million more in aid, including these trucks and armoured vehicles. Should we be proud to give so much?
Andrew, great to be with you and welcome back from your sojourn abroad. But look, I think this was a pathetic package today. I think Anthony Albanese is generally a serious Prime Minister on national security, but I think this is pathetic. You can only value it at $110 million if you take the seller's price for these used, clapped-out vehicles we're giving them. These armoured personnel carriers that we're giving them were built in the Vietnam War era. They're older than most of our readers or viewers. They're junk. And the reason for this is simple. So the Prime Minister says he asked the Australian Defence Force what's the best way to aid Ukraine, and this is what they came up with. But in fact, what the government has said to the Defence Force is, we won't give you a single dollar to replenish anything you give to Ukraine. Not a dollar. So any kit you give comes out of your line of your battle lineup. So that means the ADF will only give the Ukrainians absolute junk. These armoured personnel carriers we're giving them are so weak that we didn't deploy them even in Iraq and Afghanistan. We thought they didn't offer sufficient protection to our troops even in our recent deployments in Iraq and Afghanistan. Now, we manufacture Hawkeyes and we manufacture Bushmasters in Australia. If we were remotely serious about helping Ukraine, we could give them a couple of hundred of each and simply make a couple of hundred more to replenish what is coming out of the Defence Force lineup. But there is no defence industry activity happening in Australia at the moment. Everything's on a 10-year pause as we wait for the nuclear subs. And the government is actually cutting defence expenditure and now and then the matter you raised about the tanks, we've got 59 ancient Abrams tanks, most of which don't work, and they're being replaced by 70-odd new Abrams tanks. Now, I think it's beyond insane that we have either version, but there is no reason on God's green earth why we keep these old tanks. Now, we could give them, admittedly, they probably don't work, they're probably junk. We'd have to ask the Americans to fix them up for us. Probably the reason we won't give them is that we'd be embarrassed at the shocking state of repair they're in. But I thought this was a really feeble announcement today by a government that is not serious about helping Ukraine.